Oh, and there's Jennifer, so good. All right, so I just started the recording. This is the first UX work group meeting for this year, 2017. I have the link to the agenda in the Big Blue Button chat. Let me see if I can do screen share. I know it's been tricky lately. So I'm going to try to share my screen just so we have something to look at on the recording. All right. There we go. You should be seeing my screen, right? Hi, Jennifer.
Hello.
Okay, so I have the screen share up. Are you guys seeing it? Yes? Okay, great. So it should be open to anybody with the link to edit if you guys want to go ahead and sign in. And the agenda, I actually have pasted in some stuff from our last meeting just to kind of give us some something to start from. I know last time we had talked with Jolie and Barbara from Duke about doing an inventory of the tools to put together sort of a UX style guide for more consistency across Sakai. So I was wondering, not to put you on the spot, Jolie, but if you have any kind of updates. I know, with the holidays and stuff, I'm not sure how much internal meetings you had an opportunity to do, but if you have any updates.
Sure. Barbara and I have met a couple of times, but she's still trying to wrap her head around Sakai because she doesn't know a lot about Sakai. Mm-hmm. She's on our Duke Web Services team. They focus mainly on websites, but I mean they have a whole team of information architects, UX people, and they're fantastic. I've been working with them to some degree in different capacities, but. So I think what she's trying to do right now, I mean, we're just talking about possibilities in terms of how to actually do the inventory in terms of workflow. I've talked to her a little bit about how we do our QA process and how I thought that might actually work in terms of signing up for the tools or for the types of things that need to be inventoried, the UI elements. Because she had an example, but it was from a website and there were just fewer things to inventory there. So it was sort of, I felt like that while it was really good at capturing the UI elements on a single page, she was using Google Slides basically. And that at the top of the slide would be a heading for a certain type of UI element, and all the places that UI element was found that meant that specific task or interaction. And all those were captured on a single slide. And we might be able to link out to something like that. But I think we have to have a way to logically divide up the work across the application. And then how to capture those screenshots basically of elements throughout the application. So that's what we've been talking about so far. We're meeting again in just 2 days, and I think that we'll have a better plan then. Our goal is to hopefully have some momentum beforehand, but at the very least, Sakai Camp. That is what we're shooting for. It's on her calendar. I'm hoping that we can bring her in to talk about this because we will need to loop in the developers. She talked about a product called Pattern Lab. I am unfamiliar with this. I haven't even looked at it. Apparently it's open source, but it's a way to kind of pull both the code and graphic elements together. I have no idea what it would look like, in relation to Git and how that would work for the developers, but I know that that's something that they like in her group, and they think it's a potentially good product to look forward to in terms of how this might be useful for our Sakai development community.
Cool. Yeah, I've not heard of Pattern Lab. I don't know if anybody else in the call has.
Yeah, I haven't brought it up yet. I mean, I thought about reaching out to the dev list. It just seemed a little too early.
Right.
Yeah, because she and I are still talking, and I'm talking a little bit. She's trying to understand like how the community works together. She was really impressed with our UX call last time because she said that everybody was so polite and like asking questions on the chat and not talking over each other. And I said, oh my God, we would never get anything done if we weren't somewhat organized. So, but yeah, we're definitely making progress, and you should hear more from us very soon.
Okay. Well, let us know if there's, something that we can do community-wise, and kind of use this group as sort of a launching point. If there's parts of the inventory we can help with, or if we wanted to maybe do something along the lines of what we do for QA, where we have kind of adopt a tool if different institutions want to, take on a particular area of Sakai. Once we get kind of a plan for how we want to document the inconsistencies that we find, so that we're all doing it the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a logical approach, and one that we'll probably need to take. We've got to find a way to divide it up across the community, because it's going to be
it's a big task.
Yeah, but I think what's different than how we approach QA is we do that very much at the tool level. And some of these interactions are things that happen across tools, across the application. Right. So, that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now, about, how that's different, and how, we can apply a similar workflow, but not necessarily tool-based, maybe interaction-based, or, do we just start with the tools and then kind of go from there? I'm just not sure. So I'm hoping that she'll have some insight, since she's done this work before, that she'll be able to hear that and kind of help come up with a plan. Yeah.
Yeah,
it'll definitely go to the community, because we can't. I mean, we're definitely going to rely on everyone to help out with that, for sure. We're just trying to at least get something together to propose as a potential way to approach this. So,
right. I mean, one thought that I had, just in terms of, because you're right. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be tool centric, but sometimes we know that there's certain tools that are going to need more work in terms of making them more consistent with the rest of Sakai. So it's kind of like you want to look globally, but then you also, it makes sense in some cases to partition it up by tool. So maybe if there's a way to kind of have sort of more than one way to slice it, like, you're looking for navigational elements, or, across tools, but then you have kind of a subcategory under that for the tool.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I definitely think it'll start looking like that. Yeah. I mean, it could be that we propose something and then refine it after we come up with something based on feedback from the community or from this group. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, because once you start working with it, obviously it's going to evolve.
Yeah, exactly. And I've talked to her about, one of the things that we focused on when we've talked about Sakai is I've talked about things that have changed recently, especially like the word, the acronym NYU has come up a lot because of so much of the work that's happened there with Morpheus and with the gradebook. And when I've been part of those conversations, when they've been talking about that work, what are some of the things that guided their thinking in terms of like design and kind of leaning toward consumer applications and things like that. So like Google, Google applications, Google apps. But, I mean, we just got to do the inventory first. That's like the first task. So.
I was just jotting a couple notes down to capture some of what we talked about. Kyle, I don't know if you want to speak to anything about the NYU process.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, we've been sort of offline for a little while now because we've been in the midst of working on our upgrade to Sakai 11. And one of our sort of tasks for that upgrade was kind of finding ways that we too could sort of, for our instance, try and unify design elements, sort of across different screens in the system. And right, exactly what you were saying, Julie, just sort of, doing competitive analysis and looking towards other products and, sort of user interface and user design, standards that you find across things like Google, or even applications like Facebook, just sort of the leading, web applications, be they consumer, et cetera. And trying to find how they approach things like just like simple things like drop downs and, navigation, and starting to think about that and how we can move forward with that and sort of unify that across different tools.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think one of the things I've been kind of pointing out to Barbara is that, some things have been updated recently. I talked about overview and home and things like that. And then I talked about some tools that have been around for a while that are maybe more complex, some of our instructional tools that haven't been touched much. And so thinking that like if we start redesigning some of those, we want to look to the reason I talked about what the work that's been done through NYU is because you all have done user testing. And, I feel like if we're going to start looking at how other parts of Sakai need to be redesigned, we need to use what we have already to try to be consistent there, and not try to go back and redesign something that's already been tested and redesigned with the thinking that you all had about what makes sense for that. There's just work that's already been done there that's good work. But again, that's like putting the cart before the horse kind of, because we really just, the first step is just to get the inventory done. So I'm trying to stay very focused on that. But that's like, some of the things that I've been thinking about. And I know people are, some people are anxious to get some work done on improving things. And I think that's fantastic. I'm hoping that we can get this together for that use, so that people can just move forward with that work, but not, but have a guide in place, have something to use to do the redesigns. That's what we've talked about.
Well, that all sounds great. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, it'll be a community effort. Our folks we're going to be able to put some effort toward it. But I think Barbara's still kind of struggling with scope. She's like, has to go to her boss and say, this is how much work it's going to be. So, there's that too. Another reason why I haven't reached out yet much about that is I feel like she's still a little uncomfortable about the size of the work and because she's got to tell someone this is the work that we're doing. But, there's been an effort within our Office of Information Technology, our CIO in particular, has been interested in improving UIs of some of our main applications at Duke. And so the LMS certainly falls into that category. I don't know what they've looked at internally from the admin side of things, but certainly with this being faculty and student facing, it would be something that I think they would want to follow through with. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think she's just still struggling with the scope of it.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. One thing that comes to mind, and this is probably on my brain because I just came out of a farm meeting, but but if you wanted to pitch this to the community, we're having these lightning talks as part of farm to kind of promote that a little bit. And a farm project doesn't necessarily need to be one where you're looking for funding. It could be one that you're just looking for other types of resources, like other people to help. So maybe not for this time because it's like next week, so you probably wouldn't be ready at that point, but maybe the next time we do one of these lightning talk things for farm, I think that would be a great way to kind of get it out there and make it a little bit more visible to the community at large to say, hey, you know, we're doing this inventory, help us, you know, take on this project.
Yeah, because I mean, there will be a phase two, because the inventory, once the inventory happens and common UI, you know, elements are defined, then the next step is actually making it happen. So
Right.
that will definitely be, you know, a farm effort in terms of, you know, raising the money or the in-kind contributions to make that happen. And now, and you know, once we can kind of get a sense of what that might cost, you know, I think Duke will probably make a contribution there as well. We don't have the development staff. It would be more like putting money towards it. So.
Right.
But we do see that as like the next step, because that was the first question that was asked. Are we going to be expected to do the work? And it's like, well, no, because we don't have people to do the work. But so we do realize that that's like, this is just step one. Step two would actually be like making the consistency happen at the technical level. So. And so like doing the lightning talk would be good to just even talk about where we are and what we're proposing, and to get people to get on board in terms of helping out with it, in terms of doing the inventory, but also give people a heads up that, you know, there will be a step two coming. So for planning purposes with budgeting and things like that, that would probably be a good thing to get out there sooner.
Yeah, definitely. Get people kind of thinking about it, because a lot of times it takes time to kind of, you know, sort of percolate through and get out there to people. Cool. So for Sakai Camp, which is coming up very soon, you mentioned that you wanted to get Barbara to maybe talk to some of the developers. Was she planning to attend, or was she going to remote in? Or
She's going to remote in.
Okay, but you're going, right?
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'll see you there. Kyle, are you going? You and Jeff? I see Jeff just joined us.
Yep, I'll be there. I believe Jeff will be there as well.
Cool. It'll be good to see you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
That'll be great.
Jennifer, how about you? You coming to Orlando this January?
No, I am not. I think we're kind of saving up. I'm hoping to go to Philadelphia this year for the Apereo, so we'll see.
Well, that's always good. Yeah, Philadelphia should be nice in the summer. So I don't know if there was anything that we could do today to kind of prepare for Sakai Camp discussions around this.
You know, I just think in terms of, I think I'll know more in a couple of days when I meet with Barbara again. And so I can reach out to the group and sort of report out, you know, where we are and kind of what we're thinking. Maybe we can have a dialogue online on List about a plan for that.
Yeah, that's fine. Not trying to rush anything. I just didn't have much on the agenda today, so I'm trying to come up with topics we can talk about. I don't know if there's anything that any of you would like to bring to the table. Silence. Not right now. Okay. Yeah, I remember I even scanned my email, like looking to see has anybody brought up any UX related things recently on the email list. The only one I saw was that one about the scrolling in Gradebook, but I saw Jeff had already replied that they were on it. So I don't know if there's any other UI related things that NYU wants to comment on.
Did I reply to something, or did Kyle?
I think it was you. Let me look.
Was it a while back?
Yeah,
it's all a blur.
I know everything like before January is just a vague memory. It was a message Louisa had posted. Let me see if I can search.
Oh yeah, it's kind of coming back.
Yeah, something about scrolling in Gradebook NG.
Right.
You guys are refactoring the scroll bar or something.
Yeah, so we're doing that work this semester. I think that we'll want to time it. We'll probably talk about it at Sakai Camp. We'll probably want to time it so that people could. Well, actually, I think we'll target 12. I guess the question is when 12 is coming, because it's a bigger refactor of the whole table. So this will allow for huge numbers of students in the gradebook, and it'll also position those scroll bars such that they're persistent at the bottom of the screen. So you won't be scrolling down the browser, this huge amount of distance. It'll all just it'll if you look at like Google Sheets, it'll give you an idea of how it'll look with the scroll bar persistent at the bottom. So
Okay.
yeah, so we just have to
that'll
figure
be
out the
cool.
timing on that. Yeah, it'll be nice. Other UX things. Let's see. We upgraded. So we've been. That's where our heads have been. But we're on 11.2 now, so we're pretty happy about that.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. So we're doing tweaks here and there. We haven't done loads on Gradebook, over the past month or so because of the upgrade, but we'll be getting back into that and seeing what other projects we can get going. We're definitely interested in changes to the resources tool, which I think we've mentioned. We just have to kind of get that, moving through our governance groups here. If we can get that rolling, we'd want to, make that into a farm project. Kyle, do you have anything? Anything else we're doing, Kyle, that are around UX?
I think that covers it.
Yeah, one thing we really want to do is, just have a more regular UX testing sessions. We do a lot around, very specific things like Gradebook, but I think that's one of our goals for this year is to, just have some regular UX testing and have it set up, once a month, like one morning a month, to say, this is what we want to test out, and just so we get in the groove of that. So yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to take notes here so I don't lose all the thread of the conversation. Speaking of farm projects, actually, the rubrics projects, it's moving along. Unicon's been doing their piece of it, so they've been working a little more in isolation. We met with them a couple times, and they should be handing off kind of what they've done so far to our folks this month. For us to start on the piece where it integrates with the Gradebook. So once our developers start working on that part of it, I'll have a little more that I can share in terms of current screen captures and things. But the last that we had seen of it, they had kind of gone back, and it looked a lot more like some of our original concept ideas for the interface. So hopefully we'll have something that we can actually do a little bit of testing with pretty soon. I know our developers are going to start working on it this month, ideally. So once that process starts, then maybe we'll have something a little more concrete that we might be able to share with the UX group. Okay, well, if nobody has anything else, we can probably end early today. No other thoughts? Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys for being here today. And our next meeting is on the calendar for February 3rd. Is that still okay for everybody? I know, Julie, you had an issue with the Mondays. Is it every Monday, or is it just certain Mondays of the month?
It's every other Monday that we have a staff meeting. So occasionally it falls that I can come to the UX meetings, but I think as long as I'm working on this project with Barbara, I'll be able to leave our staff meeting early if necessary. They're very long meetings. So, and I can always catch up with people later on things.
Okay.
And I've already talked to Michael about that. It's no problem. I'll be definitely coming to meetings to follow through with the, UI inventory. So.
Okay, cool. But yeah, let me know if we need to shift it, a week, to make it easier for you. I'd be certainly happy to do that. I see in the chat, Jennifer asked, did next meeting is February 13th. I thought I said, did I say the 13th? I meant the 3rd. The 3rd is the first Friday of the month, which is when the first Monday of the month we usually have them. Did I look at the calendar wrong and think Friday? That's probably what I did. Let me look at it. I've got too many meetings. I was probably looking at a different meeting that meets on Fridays. Let's see here. Yep. I was looking at Friday, not Monday. So it would be the 6th. Sorry about that. It would be Monday, the 6th. So thanks for that correction there. So hopefully that date will work, but if it doesn't for whatever reason, let me know and we can try to shift things around a little bit. And between now and then we'll have Sakai Camp, so I'll be seeing several of you there. And then hopefully some of our discussions at Sakai Camp will come back to inform our next meeting as well, because I'm sure we'll talk about some UX related topics at Sakai Camp. All right. Well, happy Monday, everybody, and happy New Year.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
You too.
You too. Thanks, Wilma.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.